that's going to do it for the NFL. Now, you can feel it, huh?
I can feel it coming. I feel it coming, baby.
It's
NBA playoffs.
It's in the air, man. You can feel it.
How many games we have left? 1 or 2?
2.
2 games left.
2 games left. It ends on Sunday, Travis. All of it. It comes to an end on Sunday. Then we get to the playing games on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then also on Friday. And then the NBA playoffs will start.
Oh, yeah, Drew. Before we talk about it, yes, yada, yada, yada. LeBron didn't make it. He didn't make it. The Lakers, this is one of the worst Lakers teams that's ever happened before. Russell Westbrook, hopefully he gone. Anthony Davis, put some ice on it and get better, or you're out of here too. LeBron still had a good season. He had a chance to get the scoring title, and he decided that he doesn't care about it, and he's going to sit out the rest of the season. So that's what happened with the Lakers. The Lakers are in desperation mode right now.
I only have one thing to tell you. I told you so. I said when they got Westbrook and everyone was hyped about it that this could potentially be a very bad matchup. They couldn't mesh well together because Westbrook is all inside game and LeBron is all inside game and Anthony Davis is all inside game. Although LeBron is probably the better shooter of those three, still most of his game consists from mid-range to the paint, right? And not only did Westbrook disappoint me, not only did they disappoint me with how they meshed, Westbrook himself disappointed me with how he played. Very poor throughout the season. But it wasn't just that, it was the entire Lakers team, lack of effort, horrible defense. I mean, it was a horrible show.
Atrocious. It was atrocious.
It was a horrible show. So, I told you so. But also, I'm not a LeBron hater. I also don't believe this is a negative on LeBron because LeBron played his heart out this season, if we're going to be completely honest, when you look at it from top to bottom.
He was trying to put the team on his back. A big reason why I think the Lakers didn't make it has a lot to do with Anthony Davis. It has a lot to do with that. And also Russell Westbrook. Now, Frank Vogel is on the hot seat because of this whole defense situation.
He should be, too. He should be.
Because there's a lot of talent on this roster. You got to find a way to make it work. They didn't make it work, and now...
And they had to deal with injuries, so...
So, yeah, the Lakers didn't make it.
Yeah. One concern I have to say about LeBron, though, obviously Anthony Davis, we know, is starting to become at this point now where he's starting to become known as an injury-prone player. That's concerning already, especially with how young Anthony Davis is still in his career. The biggest one, though, is LeBron James. We haven't seen this lack of durability from LeBron many points in his career. And now he's 37. You have to wonder at some point, because no matter what, Father Time always wins. And seeing LeBron have to be in and out of games, he has to take load management games, stuff that he's never done before, slightly concerning. I just have to mention. Doesn't mean it takes away from
the only thing good about it that I will say that I love LeBron for is now he actually looks like a normal player. He looks like the way that he's out of games is like how a normal player in his 25s is. But Lakers didn't make it.
We'll leave such a worshiper.
I love LeBron. I love you.
Okay. But we don't have to talk about them, thankfully, for the rest of all of the season now. Now we get to the playoffs. Now, all the seeding has not been arranged yet, but the people who are in the playoffs and the play-in games have all been settled now. We know who it is. So, let's just talk about the play-in games. Cleveland, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Charlotte are going to be in the play-in game for the East. Minnesota, the Clippers, New Orleans, and San Antonio for the other side. Now, Travis, this play-in method came in last year. It came into effect. It's an interesting format because now it doesn't mean it's just the 7 and the 8s that just slip in easy now.
They might play the 10th seed.
Who knows how it works out? Who do you have as a sleeper? It could be from the playing games, or hey, it could be a team that's lower in just the normal seeding from 6 up. Who do you have a team that's not getting enough attention, you think?
Now, obviously, the Nets, they are definitely scary.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't be in the play.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be in the play.
I don't think we could consider them a sleeper.
They're not a sleeper. Because obviously we know the potential that
And I think everyone still fears what they can do.
And after this playing game, if they make it, Ben Simmons should be playing. So that'll be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
None of my sleepers are in the playing game. Everyone in the play-in, I have no confidence in.
All right.
No confidence in.
Okay.
Now, my first one. This one's kind of obvious. I got the Clippers. The Clippers.
That is a playing game.
Oh, the Clippers are a playing game?
I just said that.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anyways, the Clippers. The Clippers, they just got Paul George back. And Kawhi has been showing up to facilities. He has been pulling up. It's a little scary. I don't know. If he comes back, the Clippers are definitely a scary team.
Yeah.
Right now, without Kawhi, I'm not scared.
Okay.
I'm not scared. But if they get Kawhi.
All right. I just want to add on because they're mine as well. Remember in the beginning of all this, I did say the Clippers are going to win the finals. And the reason why I said that all the way back in the beginning, you remember this? I said in the beginning of the season, the Clippers are my NBA champions for next year. And I said this because if they do get Kawhi Leonard back in time for the playoffs, and you had Paul George who was able to find his rhythm finally on the Clippers, then you have these other players who have been battle-tested without their two stars. Reggie Jackson's learned life without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
He's become a star in L.A.
He's kind of become the main guy there in L.A. Exactly. Then you have some other guys. Covington, all of a sudden coming out of nowhere. You know, you have a couple of guys who are worth mentioning. Zubac. You know, they got Kennard. Kennard is starting to do some things. Terrence Mann.
We already knew about Terrence Mann.
We kind of knew about Terrence Mann. Again, this team has had to survive without them. If they get them back now to add on to what this team has already been building, this is what makes the Clippers scary. Because now it's not just Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. It's a team with depth. It's a team that's been able to fight through adversity. And now you're telling me they get 2 top 15 players in the league? Arguably 2 top 10? With 1 definite top 5.
Yeah,
that's scary.
The Clippers are definitely a scary team.
That's a scary team.
Now, my second one. This one is a team that I think a lot of people would say are frauds. I got the Memphis Grizzlies.
Interesting.
A lot of people would probably say the Grizzlies are frauds.
Just because they're young.
But listen to this. Ja Morant has not played in, 15 games this year? And the Grizzlies did not look worse. They looked better.
They got depth.
And obviously they're not a better team without Ja Morant.
Of course.
But they literally played better without him. And they beat good teams without him as well. So that's the part where it's a little scary. I've seen them beat almost every single team in the playoffs has had a tough matchup with the Memphis Grizzlies. So you can't really say that they're frauds. Now, I'm very interested to see. Now, they do have some young talent on there. So they haven't really been in the playoffs. But the Atlanta Hawks last year proved that a little wrong. So let's see what happens with the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm excited for Ja Morant to dunk on everybody in the playoffs. And they're my number 1 sleeper team.
I like that. I like it because, yeah, I can see where the hype goes away from Memphis a little bit because they're such a young team. And they're not a team that's flashy. I mean, besides Ja Morant, it's not like it's not a big city. You know, it's Memphis. You know, many people don't talk about that. So that's a good one. I actually really like that one. My underrated pick is also in the West. It's the Dallas Mavericks. They're the 4 seed right now, but yet they haven't been talked about much. You remember, you still have Luka Doncic, and it turns out getting rid of Porzingis was the right move. You know, because you still have Brunson. Now you have Dinwiddie, Spencer Dinwiddie, who seemed to have found his way there in Dallas. So that's a team I feel like is worth mentioning. Now, my last one is right here in the Eastern Conference in the play-in game. It's the Atlanta Hawks. Now, I say this because Atlanta started off the season very slow and has now picked it up. They have beaten teams like Brooklyn. They have beaten good teams now. And again, Trae Young, I think, is what's the most underrated part of Trae Young's game is he's looked at as a three-point shooter. But I think what comes first for Trae Young is he's actually a great facilitator and finisher. Trae Young is great with his floaters and driving into the lane, being aggressive, passing the ball, setting up his guys. And remember, in the playoffs, what made this team so successful is you had guys who can succeed off of those open shots. Gallinari, Herter, John Collins. I like this Hawks team. And again, it's the fact that they started off slow, but now they picked it up a little bit. I feel like they're worth mentioning as a team that could be dangerous. You know what I mean? Because no matter what, they're going to be playing the 1 seed, who the 1 seed in the East is going to turn out to be Miami. One of the weaker 1 seeds we've probably seen because they don't have the offensive firepower that we've seen. If Atlanta comes out hitting, they come out shooting.
They could beat Miami.
Who knows if they win these play-in games first, So that's worth mentioning. Now, Travis, there are a lot of teams in this playoffs. Considering from 6 and up, who are some frauds? Who do not deserve to be here?
Oh, we got some frauds. First of all, they've been talking about this all season. We're talking about the Bulls. The Bulls are frauds.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just get that out.
That's number one, right?
Yeah. Let's just get that out. They don't beat good teams.
No.
They have a good record, but they don't beat good teams.
The Bulls have only been 3 playoff teams this year?
Yeah.
It's piss poor. Okay, I just want to do it for the show. Playoff teams that they played, all right? They just played these 3 right here, top in the East.
Yeah.
Look at the scores. Holy. They lost to the Heat 127-109. Then they lose to the Bucks 127-106. Then they lose to the Celtics 117-94.
The Celtics are the worst of the group, and they still got dogs.
And they lost to them the worst of all.
Yeah.
The Suns, they lose 129-102. But then they beat, they beat the Cavs 98-94. Then they get their little wins against the Wizards, all that.
They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, but when they come against competition, they show who they really are.
Yes, and based on where the seeding's at right now, they're the 6th seed, so they'll probably play Boston. They're going to get whooped. They're going to get whooped. Yeah. It's one and done from the Bulls.
Yeah. Now, another one that I got. This one is a little controversial. I got the Nuggets as frauds. Now, the reason why I have this is because I did a little research. It's looking a little sus on Jamal Murray. Don't think Jamal Murray is coming back.
I don't think so either.
And yes, the Nuggets may win their first playoff game. They may win their first playoff round. But I do not really see the Nuggets going deep because of Jamal Murray not being there. I think that the Nuggets will definitely struggle. Yeah, in the regular season, you can make it work. Obviously, Jokic has had a great season.
Mm-hmm.
But in the playoffs, Jamal Murray would score 50, score 40. He was going off during the whole quarantine one.
Yeah.
And I think they're really going to miss him during the playoffs.
I would imagine so. I would be inclined to agree with you, but besides the fact that I really just didn't see it in the first place, so I don't feel like I have a sense of calling them frauds. But they're going to miss Jamal Murray. My other fraud is the Utah Jazz. And I've talked about Utah before. I hate teams that over-rely on that three-point shot. Because it's hit or miss. If those shots are falling, you're hitting, you're unstoppable. But can you maintain that for a 7-game series? I have yet to see a three-point team prove that to me at all. Even the Warriors. Yes, the Warriors are one of the best three-point shooting teams ever. But they were balanced.
They didn't rely on the three.
You had your Splash Brothers in Curry and Clay, but you also had other versatile players, even in the early runs that they had. You had Mo Spates. You had Draymond Green, a bigger guy. You had Andre Iguodala. They had balance. This is more like a Rockets team that didn't win those Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. When it comes to Game 7, and if those shots aren't hitting, they're dead in the water because they just keep firing and hoping and hoping and hoping it hits. And when it don't, that's it. It's over. You're waving the white towel. The white flag.
Yeah.
So,
You know what? I had the Mavericks on here, bro, as a fraud. You kind of convinced me not to put them on there. I was a little sus of them. You talk about Spencer Dinwiddie. I still don't think they're going to make it far. But, you know, I won't mention it.
The reason why I put them is because they're not being talked about a lot. And I think it works better for Luka's style, at least. The reason why Luka and Porzingis didn't work is because they're both kind of ball-dominant players a little bit. Porzingis does need the ball in his hand to work, to kind of, be one-on-one with the player. Luka does so good as a ball handler and then working with his guys, his teammates. And then you have Tim Hardaway Jr., who showed in the playoffs last year.
He can step up.
He can step up when it's needed.
Yeah.
You surround them with a good supporting cast and good coaching. I like this Mavericks team. Just feel like...
Now, the last team I have that are frauds is Drake's team, the Toronto Raptors.
Interesting.
Now, the reason why I have them as frauds is because of Pascal Siakam. Now, he's a great player.
You don't like Pascal Siakam?
I don't like Pascal Siakam. There's been a growing trend. Like, I just looked him up, and I didn't know, like, this spin move thing that he does. You know he spins every single time he kicks the ball?
Yeah, no.
I'm not a fan of him. Fred VanVleet. Now, obviously, this is the same team that beat the Warriors, besides Kawhi Leonard.
And Kyle Lowry.
So, I'm not confident in this team at all.
I'm just not sold.
I'm not sold. They didn't give me nothing. I'm looking at Pascal Siakam. He don't look like a superstar to me.
I'm not sold, I don't think they can win a 7-game series with any of the 4 teams that are ahead of them. I don't see them beating Philly.
No.
I don't see them beating Boston. I don't see them beating Milwaukee. And I don't see them beating Miami.
It's
the only reason I don't call them frauds, though, is because it's not like they were built up with this hype. And it's like it's not looking like it. In the end, they're coming in as a sleeper team, really, if we're going to talk about what defines a sleeper team.
It's probably the Raptors, yeah.
As a team that's, like, not expected to be there. But I can see why you call them frauds because of the fact that obviously you don't think they're going to get past that first round.
I don't even think they're going to make it out the first round.
Yeah, and I would be inclined to agree with that statement. Yeah. I don't see them slipping past that first round.
I don't even think they should be in the play-in tournament. That's how bad I think they are.
Do you think like the worst? Well, obviously Brooklyn. Brooklyn is a team that
they messed it up. I think the Hawks are better than them.
I think so too.
That's why they should be in the play-in tournament.
See, yeah. So that's a good point. That's a good point. All right. Now let's talk about the obvious.
Who are your favorites, Flo?
The favorites, who's expected to win.
Lord.
It's kind of boring. I hate these because I always like upsets.
Guys, let me just tell you this right now. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Dro is a huge Giannis fan. And I already know he's going to talk about Giannis right now. I wrote Giannis down too. I'm only saying it because it's obvious. What do you have to say about Milwaukee, Dro? The team that just won a championship last year.
That they are in prime position to defend their championship. Because here's how it's going to work out for Milwaukee. I imagine they just beat Boston. They're starting to... The players that they gave rest in many games are now starting to play a lot more. They're winning those big games that we know they definitely should be winning. They got past that little championship high that they had earlier in the season. Now here they are in prime position at the 2 seed. I imagine their first matchup, if everything goes as expected, should be Brooklyn. Now that means that the toughest matchup will be in that first round. Also worth mentioning is the last time KD has played against Giannis in the last 5 games, he has lost. Doesn't matter that KD scored 50 because Giannis also did as well. He has matched him blow for blow. Giannis has grown as a player in front of our eyes and continues to grow. This Bucks team is ready for a run again.
Okay.
They're primed for a run. They match up perfectly against other teams, and especially when the biggest thing that's scary about Milwaukee is when the big 3 plays the way they should. When Drew Holiday doesn't play good just defensively, but also offensively.
Yeah.
And then you have Chris Middleton as that closer 3-point shooter that he always is.
Yeah.
Then you have Giannis, who this season now, more than ever, we are seeing develop consistent free throw shooting.
He shoot a little bit from the 3.
He shoot a little. You saw him hit that game-tying shot for the three-point shot. That was a step-back shot too. It wasn't just normal three. And really, what's impressing me about Giannis is his mid-range game.
He's looking like Michael Jordan and MJ right now.
What's impressing me is he's able to back down a player, and obviously they expect him to go inside, turn around, mid-range shot. And when he's a player that big, that's hard to defend.
You can't defend that.
You can't defend that. And again, when it comes to playoff time, everyone turns it up a notch.
Yep.
I see Giannis elevating past these other players.
Now, that's the thing, bro. I don't like. There's one thing I don't like that you said. Now, the Bucks are definitely favorites. Definitely favorites, hands down. But I don't think the Nets are the hardest team they're going up against. I think they got a tougher matchup before they get to the finals. Now, I think it's obvious who the finals favorite is on the West. We can talk about that after.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after. We know who the favorite is.
But the 76ers, I have as another favorite. I have them as a team that I look easily to make it to the finals. Now, you might say, oh, yeah, you know, they played in regular season. Oh, this happened. No, I don't care. Giannis going up against Joel Embiid. Who else can match up with Giannis? There's not really anybody else in the league that can match up with him. And I know. You see him right now? You see him? Listen.
This is hilarious, bro. Come on.
Listen.
You cannot be serious.
The Nets do not match up good with the Bucks.
Yeah, no, they don't.
They don't match up. The Sixers match up a lot better than the Nets do.
Still not good enough, bro. I'm
not saying that the Sixers are going to beat the Bucks. I'm saying that the Sixers, I would choose over the Nets to beat the Bucks.
All right. I can agree that they match up better. I can agree to that point. But one thing I'm going to say is that in every single game I've seen with the Bucks and the Sixers go at it, and I know Joel Embiid probably plays Giannis most of the time. I've seen it a lot. Giannis still gets his way. Because in the end, no matter what, while Joel Embiid is also he's a great, probably the best big man in the league in my opinion, he's not, the difference that makes Giannis so different than any other big man is he's fast. He's extremely fast. Like, he gets down the court in almost 4 steps with his length. You know, he can run up and down that court quick. Joel Embiid, while a big man who also has range with the three-point shot, doesn't have as much mobility as him. And while Embiid does have a lot more mobility than a normal center, there's only one Giannis. Mm-hmm. And now you tell me Giannis is starting to develop a mid-range shot as well, to where you have to play up so that he can get under.
Yeah.
In the end, while I do agree that they probably match up the best out of every team in the East, especially like Miami Heat, that's not worth mentioning as a matchup. That's a horrible matchup for the Heat. You don't want that. You know, I just don't see any team right now on par with the Bucks.
Yeah, it is going to be hard, though, because, of course, they have James Harden, right? Mm-hmm. But the best guard defender is on him.
Drew Holiday. Yep. And truthfully, Harden hasn't shown me anything to be that guy in the big games to step up.
And they lost a lot of depth. So Tobias Harris definitely got to step it up.
And we haven't seen that.
And that has not happened. Tyrese Maxey, you got to step it up as well.
Yep.
So I like the 76ers. They're my third team because the Nets have a lot to make it through to make it to the finals.
Yeah.
So I would say the Bucks, the Sixers, and the West team. I'll let you talk about the West team.
Yeah. The Warriors. Yeah, I'm switching it up. Obviously the Suns.
Oh man, yo, I gotta go.
Obviously, okay. Let me get this out the way. Obviously, the Suns are the #1 favorite. I wouldn't agree.
Okay.
When Trevor says that, I can't disagree with that.
Okay.
Because the Suns have played the best, and the best thing about what the Suns have shown is they've been unstoppable without all their players there.
Yeah.
And then when they get Chris Paul, they're still in it. It's like they didn't miss a beat.
They dominate.
They don't skip a beat.
Yeah.
They're playing. They're the best team in the NBA. And as far as I'm concerned, they should be in the. They kind of already earned their spot in the Western Conference Finals, barring any huge choke that they do. Mm-hmm. Right. Besides any of that, they should be the favorite that already sealed their spot in the Western Conference Finals, because they're a complete team, top to bottom. Their bench has gotten so good. Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, And then obviously Devin Booker, who honestly should have a little more right to be in that MVP conversation than people are giving him.
And the Suns look better than they looked last year.
Exactly. They look like they've learned from their mistakes of last year. You know, they were kind of like just scratching the surface last year of what they truly could be. And now they finally hit that point. But here's their biggest competition. You knew it was coming. The Warriors. In the end of all the Western Conference teams,
Oh my God.
you can't deny the team that has been there and done that. Can you?
You can't.
You can't deny a team that has been there and done that. And here's the thing, that the reason why Steph Curry, obviously, he'll be back in playoff time. They're giving him extra rest to make sure he's fully healthy for this playoffs.
James Wiseman will not be back.
James Wiseman won't be back, but they haven't had him all year. They've kind of learned to live without him. Now, one thing I gotta give is, first of all, the rest can be very good for Steph Curry. You know, this can get a chance for him to kind of get back in rhythm. He was starting to find his rhythm before the injury as well, but I imagine some rest time will do him some good. Here's the biggest thing, is the fact that when Curry has been out, now the star has risen.
Yeah, I will say this. Klay Thompson has looked a lot
He
better.
is back. He's back. He is back. 37, 25, 36, 33. Wow.
When Curry was in there, Klay, I was a little sus of Klay.
Yeah.
I was like, Klay, you looking trash right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're missing shots. All you are is a shooter at this point, and you're not making the shots.
Yep.
But now, you're making the shots. He's making deep threes. He's
Yep.
doing his pull-up shots.
He's finding his rhythm. Now, if he's playing like this, and then you get Steph Curry back, and then that Splash Brother duo's working, then you have Jordan Poole.
Yeah, they also have a stub brother.
Then you have Damian Lee. You know, you have guys.
Otto Porter. I always forget that you guys have Otto Porter. He's a sleeper player on the Warriors.
Andrew Wiggins as a defender. Not to mention the fact that Wiggins can get 20 points a game in many occasions. Then you have Draymond Green, the facilitator, defender. You know, Gary Payne. Jonathan Kuminga, who our first-round pick has actually turned out to be pretty much a sleeper. He's averaging 16.7 points per game. That's very good.
The only thing I would
at least for the past few months, he has been doing that.
The only thing I would be scared of if I'm the Warriors is going up against a great center like Jokic.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that, obviously, I've said that the Nuggets are a little sus to me. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to make it far. But the Warriors don't really have a center.
Yeah.
Kevon Looney is... But James Wiseman is definitely missing.
I'm glad you made that point, because I was going to say that one scare that I had about going against the Suns is the X Factor. And we saw this in 2016 when the Warriors made that 3-1 comeback against OKC and lost in the finals against the Cavaliers. The reason why they struggled in both of those series is because of the big men, because they outmatched them in size. Steven Adams was dominating the Warriors in that OKC series before the Warriors really turned it around. And the Cavaliers, when Draymond Green went out in that one game, that was enough energy for the Cavs to turn it around and just take over that series. And they took it over with size. Kevin Love was on the boards getting rebounds. LeBron James was unstoppable. You know,
Tristan Thompson
we made Tristan Thompson look great in that series. So again, we lack size. So yes, while we have learned to live without Wiseman, it sucks not having that size with us.
Yeah.
That's my concern. But again, the biggest thing about this Warriors team is now you have Klay Thompson and Steph Curry when they both come into the playoffs, if they both come in rhythm, they're a veteran team that has been in the biggest games. No setback scares them.
They've been in the biggest games in NBA history.
Yeah, and no setback scares them. No setback scares them. And we've seen Klay Thompson in the playoffs be one of the clutchest players that we've seen. Game 6 Klay is a real thing. That's truly a real thing. We've seen it against OKC, against Houston, against the Cavaliers, all of it.
Yeah. The thing about Klay Thompson and Steph Curry playing together at a high level, they've won a championship without Kevin Durant, without Andrew Wiggins, without Otto Porter, without Gary Payton Jr., who's risen as a star as well. This is the only thing that's kind of scary. They've already won with just them three, Draymond, Clay, and Steph.
Yep.
And they took over the league, 73-9.
Yep.
And they have Iguodala again too. And don't forget about the way that he played in the finals as well.
Mm-hmm.
He is a little older.
Yeah.
He may not have as many steps,
But he's a veteran.
but he knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
So it's definitely a little scary.
I mean, it's a great point. It's all going to hit, again, what I'm saying hinges on how I feel the Warriors open up. You know, because Curry is coming off an injury. It's very possible that Curry comes back and he's off sync.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that from players. So my statement here is hinging a lot on how Steph Curry returns. But I'm just going to say if Steph Curry comes back at full strength with the way this Warriors team has adapted without him, and this is, I have to say, I think this is a better supporting cast than the 2015 team that won the championship. Look out.
Yeah.
Look out. That's your competition against the Suns. And the reason why I'm just going to say I'm not mentioning Memphis is while I do think they're actually a little underrated because they're not talked about as much, they, more so than the Suns, are an extremely young team.
They're extremely.
This is a team that, and I've seen so many young teams with great talent not be ready for that next step just yet. You know, the Memphis feels like a team that's ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And that could catch them, that could bite them. Especially if you have to play the Clippers in the first round, and this is a team with a couple of veterans. Who knows? I'm just saying, if Kawhi Leonard comes back, I know who I'm going to pick as my favorite, and it's no disrespect to Memphis whatsoever. I'm just scared of that Clippers team.
Yeah. Honestly, this is going to be a good playoffs.
It's going to be a very good playoffs.
I really do like that for the first time, 2 years in a row, we don't know who's winning.
Yes.
Every year besides last year, you knew who was winning the championship. You're like, it's either this team or it's this team.
And it's funny because this year of all years, everyone expected it to be Brooklyn and Lakers from the start.
Yep. And right now, it don't look like it's going to be either of them.
Either of them. No. There's other teams out here that are filled with depth.
And a lot more hungry as well.
Yes. So it's going to be very fun. I can't wait. This is where the NBA gets so fun. You know, there's a rough patch because it's 82 games. It could drag on. But now when you get to the playoffs, it makes it all worth it.
Wait, Joe. So next week's episode, the play-in games are going to be done?
Mm-hmm.
So next week, it will be the official
NBA playoffs. So do you want to end the episode right here with saying who we think are winning these play-in games?
Let's just say, let's predict these NBA play-in games really quickly.
Because I could go very quickly right here. My 7th seed is the Clippers. My 8th seed is the Minnesota Timberwolves.
The Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yes, Karl Anthony Towns.
So
Anthony Edwards.
You think that?
Yeah, because the way the play-in game works is obviously whoever wins that 7 and 8 game automatically gets the 7th seed. Then the loser of that game has to play the winner. They're beating New Orleans or San Antonio. I'm sorry. Anthony Edwards.
I gotta agree with that.
Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns. It's actually it's a young, underrated team.
Let's go over the East. I think that one's pretty easy. The East.
Do you?
The East is the Nets, the Hawks, the Hornets,
In Cleveland.
and Cleveland. It's got to be the Nets and the Hawks, right? It's got to be the Nets and the Hawks, right?
So badly I want to go for Cleveland and the Hawks. You don't even understand. The reason why is because every time I side with the Nets, it still doesn't work out. But I have to go with the Nets. I'd be a fool not to. But I have to say, there is something about that team that no matter how good that talent is, it's concerning how low they play. And you expect it even when Kyrie Irving started getting full time, it would have changed. But they still lose games.
They still do.
That defense is not good, and obviously that supporting cast is not as good as we think it should be. With Seth Curry and Goran Dragic and Andre Drummond, it should be an incredible supporting cast when you think about it like that.
When Ben Simmons comes back, it might be a little different story.
But who knows? Ben Simmons has been out for almost a whole year
He
now.
might not ever play in the NBA.
Who knows how he's going to play and how he's going to fit in with this team, especially because Ben Simmons is a guy who obviously wants to take the ball down the court, but you got to give Kyrie Irving the ball. You can't
He
let
did
Kyrie
adjust to shooting guard.
Yeah, but you can't let Kyrie Irving play off ball. He's so much better on ball, and we've been seeing it this season.
It's very... No, actually, Dro, I'm going to change my answer. I'm going to change my answer.
What are you changing it to?
I really like this team. Who are the Hawks going up against?
They're going against Charlotte.
I'm picking Charlotte. I'm going to pick Charlotte.
Oh, dude. So you have the Hawks going out early.
It sounds really crazy.
No.
But LaMelo Ball.
So what, Brooklyn and Charlotte? Like you got
Brooklyn and Charlotte.
You have Charlotte making it all the way.
No.
No, like to the 8th seed.
Yeah.
Tripping. That's too
I think
far.
that
That's
Charlotte will beat the Cavs.
That's too far. That's too far for me.
I'm just doing it. I'm gonna do this boldly.
That's too far.
I think that LaMelo Ball goes off in this game.
That's too far for me.
I'm just gonna say it.
I've learned to not bet
And
against Trae Young.
When I'm right, it's gonna be the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life.
No, that's too far, man. That's too far.
Just wait on it.
Too far. That's enough.
Just wait on it.
I was pushing it, trying to even consider Brooklyn being out that early. That was a little too far on my part, but I had to consider it. It has to be Brooklyn and Atlanta. I'm sorry. That's just, it has to be. There's no way it's not. You're crazy, bro. You're crazy. You're insane. There's no way. There's no way it's not. That's okay. Yes. But by the time you see our episode next week,
you'll know who's right.
You'll know who's right. You'll know who's in. And now, when the playoffs are all set in the full bracket, we will give our champion. We will go through a full playoff prediction next week. So stay tuned for that.
LeBron's winning another championship.
In his dreams.
But guys, it's been a long time, man. I haven't asked you in a while. Make sure you like the video. Yeah. Comment down who you think a sleeper is.
Yeah.
Who do you think is trash and is still in the playoffs?
It's been a while, so I can understand why.
Yeah. It's understandable.
Yeah, I can understand why it'd be off a little bit.
Let me know. Do you think the Warriors are going to the Super Bowl? I don't know, man. Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe so you know.
I got the Suns win the World Cup.
We do. What's the NHL? Stanley Cup. Lakers to the Stanley Cup next year.
Yes.
Well, we'll see you guys.
Deucios.